Now here's how the process will look and work from the perspective of the user. So we are on our user computer that is located on the LAN, and endpoint control is enabled on our LAN facing interface. So when our user tries to access the internet, let's go ahead and do that and see what happens. Let's go ahead and try to go to a website. When we do that, we are redirected to a endpoint security required page informing our user that in order to access the internet, they must download and install the FortiClient program. Therefore, let's go ahead and download that program to our computer. And let's install that on our machine. All right, so during this process, it will download the necessary image from the firewall. All right, and when that completes, by default, it will start to scan our computer for any viruses, just like any other virus program. Okay, when that completes, it will continue with the install. Okay, and here, let's agree to the license agreement. For the setup type, we want to do a complete install of the endpoint security and the VPN components. We will use the default destination folder and install. Okay, and when that is finished, the client will start downloading components and signatures from the firewall in the background, which will take a few minutes. After some time here, you will see a green shield with a check indicating that the endpoint security client is installed and running on our computer. Now the green check basically means that the client is being protected from the FortiClient program, but we still need to register the client to our firewall. And we're still waiting for all download and updates from the FortiGate to complete. So now you see that our antivirus is protecting our computer in real time and that the database is up to date. So right now, the FortiClient on our computer has not yet applied the FortiClient default profile that we set up, which included our SSL VPN profile. Everything is basically unconfigured. So this is showing a more of a general template that is applied to our client, but we want all of our endpoints to use the default profile in order to access the internet. What we need to do is register with the FortiGate, and we can do that by clicking up here where it says register to FortiGate. Now this may list our firewall that the user can click on, which is determined from a broadcast discovery that we enabled. Now unfortunately though, our computer is on a different broadcast domain than what the firewall is in. Remember, we have a dedicated internal network between our firewall and our core switch. So of course, no FortiGates would be available. If we had a single flat network, then our firewall will be listed here. So this can definitely happen, something to keep in mind. So that means we need to enter or specify the direct address of the FortiGate firewall, and we will enter the LAN facing IP of our firewall that we will register with. Okay, and after a few moments, we will get a message confirming the registration of our client to the firewall enabled for endpoint control. So we can view the details of this profile that will be enabled on our client. And we can go here to profile details. So within this profile, antivirus is turned on, which we enabled in that default profile. We also enable application control or application firewall using the staff profile, which blocks storage backup related sites like Dropbox. We also enable web filter, which use the employee profile, which is blocking a set of websites that we want to filter for our employees. Plus, we have safe search turned on. And of course, under VPN, you will see the SSL VPN profile that we added for our users so that our users can use for connecting into the environment remotely. So all of this is basically predefined automatically. So let's go ahead and go back to the previous page. And let's accept this registration to the firewall, which will update our client's configuration with the default profile on our computer. Within the client, we see that it is registered to the FortiGate. And of course, that means that we are enabled for real-time virus protection and the database is up to date. That's important. Now, Web Filter reflects it is disabled, even though we did enable this within the FortiClient profile and what we accepted. But the application firewall is enabled and blocking storage backup sites based on the staff profile, so that is correct. And of course, under remote access, it reflects SSL VPN, that profile that we created with the WAN IP of our firewall. So basically, they will enter their username and their password, they will connect, and they can access internal resources. With the client installed, we should be able to access the internet now. Let's confirm that. Let's go ahead and try to access. Great, so now we can access the internet normal again, but we should be blocked from storage backup sites, which is the application that we are blocking.